Hey guys, before we started the show, we wanted to thank Lauren Passell for including us a couple of times in Podcast the Newsletter. Lauren's the co-founder of Tink Media, a podcast publicity company. She's the co-host of Podcast, the podcast that talks about how great podcasts are, as well as the co-host of the Shelf Care Podcast, a podcast about ambitious women talking about reading, rituals, and remedies. Lauren did a really nice write-up about us in the November 1st, 2019 edition of Podcast the Newsletter, as well as mentioning us on the September 6th edition. And we wanted to thank her for including us in the newsletter. It really means a lot to us. As a way of saying thank you, we'd love it if you would all follow Lauren on Twitter at Lauren Passell, at LaurenPassell. And from there, you can find links to Tink Media, Podcast the Newsletter, and all of her podcasts. Thanks again, Lauren. And now here's the show.
King James Virgin, where each and every week my friends Alan and Adam recount Bible stories from their childhoods to me. I've never heard them before. My name's Nick.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Adam.
So this week, it's another parable.
Yeah.
Our second parable.
Parable time. First one being, prodigal son.
Yep.
Good job. Good job.
My mind is like blank.
And what's fun about this one is I almost guarantee that Nick has heard the name of it before.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, can I ask, how many parables are there?
Ooh. I don't know the answer to that. There are a lot.
Classic. Okay.
There's a lot.
You think we're going to cover all of them?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, a lot of them like cover are treading the exact same territory, or
sure, okay.
They're just
are like really short.
Right. They could just be like you know that thing, like that's a thing, that thing.
I would actually say Prodigal Son is probably the longest.
Yeah.
And I think today we're doing maybe the second longest.
Okay.
Yes.
So today we're doing the parable of the Good Samaritan.
Huh.
Right?
Do you know anything about
You've heard the names.
Do you Good Samaritans or Samaritans in general?
Well, I guess I don't know the definition of just a Samaritan. Like, can you be a bad Samaritan?
Sure.
Okay. Good Samaritan. I don't know where it stems from.
Well, so in the Bible, it's people who try to RV to all 49 states. Okay. Right? That's my dad joke of the night.
You lost me.
Oh, seriously?
It's just a subculture that's in the area that isn't Jewish.
Oh, no. I thought that you guys would thought this was like a more way. The Good Sam Club. It's like for people who RV. I don't know. It seems to be people who RV. You're not aware of this?
No, once you said it, I know the Good Sam. Yes.
I am not aware of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
RV virgin.
I mean, let me just say, I did not expect that joke to land at all.
Okay.
But maybe a little more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
At least be aware of the joke.
Right.
Yeah.
You did seem like you had it locked and loaded, ready to go.
Yeah. That's
welcome to my world.
So yeah. It makes sense once we get into the story as to why it applies to RVs.
Okay.
Sort of. There's also
just the traveling.
You've really
totally not saying how it's related to the RVs.
Taking care of people on the road.
Are you trying to compare it to AAA?
Oh, God. Okay. So anyway, you also get like discounts and shit. But anyway.
I know nothing about the Good Sam's Club, so that could be.
At me if I'm wrong. At KJV Pod, except for it's Nick.
Except that's me, so please don't.
At Nick if
because I'll be like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
So the parable of the Good Samaritan is in Luke.
Okay.
Which is one.
Oh, wait, are the parables in different places? It's not just a list?
No.
Oh, okay.
So basically, what it typically happened was that Jesus was having a conversation with somebody and they became an asshole. And so he said, let me tell you a story. He'd tell them a story and it'd be an object lesson, a lot like Aesop's fables. And then they would either understand it or not understand it, depending on the story. And we'd move on.
And is it set off like, do you know that it's a parable because of some certain thing in the Bible?
It's my understanding, and I don't know if this also might be utter bullshit, but from school, it would often said that this was the way that biblical teachers and scholars at the time would teach, was in parable form. Like this was a mode that we were used to.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that. And actually, your previous statement kind of gets us into this about some guy would be an a-hole and Jesus would tell a story to tell them why they're an a-hole. So not in this case.
Why are we saying a-hole?
I don't know.
Sorry, I just realized.
I have a toddler and I'm trying to swear less, but he's not going to listen to this.
We're just trying to knock it down to that PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
Gotta get those tweens.
Fine. Ass. So this is one of the cases where it's a rich dude.
Yeah.
But asking a question.
Yeah.
So not being an explicit a-hole, but I'm going to keep saying a-hole. It's fun.
I feel like he
feels gross.
If I remember right, he like pushes him, and that's where the a-hole.
This isn't the pushing one. Yeah, team a-hole.
God damn it!
Well, there goes our tag. So, Adam, do you remember how that we get into?
Yeah,
this?
he's having a conversation, and then lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay. It's usually a lawyer who's being a dick.
Wow.
Just like somebody who's like arguing, like, I want to quibble over the terminology that you're saying. Because like the whole conversation is about neighbors. Like, be kind to your neighbor is the gist of what's going on. Yes.
So he asked Jesus, what do I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus responds, well, what's the law? Like, what does the law say?
Love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself.
Dude, nailed it. Totally nailed it. It's kind of a big deal phrase.
This is one of those things that was like beat into you.
Okay.
And Jesus said, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, do it and you'll be fine. And then the guy goes, who's my neighbor?
I think it was like more of like but who is my neighbor? I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
That's kind. Alan gives him the benefit. I think he's just being a dick.
Okay.
All right. Well, we have team a-hole and team not a-hole.
Team b-hole?
And then Jesus.
The B team hole.
It's just.
It actually works either way. A-hole or B-hole works for the exact same thing.
It does. And then Jesus starts the parable.
Yeah.
So take it away.
The parable is Jesus says there is a Jewish man. Does he say Jewish man or how does he clarify that the man is Jewish?
A certain man went down from Jerusalem.
So leaves Jerusalem. The indication is like he's like us. I use big, huge air quotes there. He's like us, and he's wandering, and he's on his way to. Does it say where he's going?
It does.
Jericho.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And none of the people in the parables are named, right? It's just this guy.
No.
Yeah.
Dude.
A man.
Yeah.
Dude trekking to Jericho. On the way, bandits jump out, beat the shit out of him, take his donkey, take his stuff, and leave him for dead on the side of the road.
And strip him of his clothing.
Strip him of his clothing. I just like, I don't think
it's an important detail.
It is. So yeah, he's naked, bleeding, left for dead.
Okay.
And then a priest is coming down, and as he gets close, sees this man, and the man is like, help me. And
not in the Bible.
How's that written?
And the priest basically, because he can't, like he's been consecrated, can't touch anything unclean, and a beat man would constitute something that's unclean.
Also not in the Bible.
Really?
I know that was totally in my mind as well.
All from the animated shit.
No,
because there's some lines that I remember, and it's like these are totally.
But I also imagine that was probably just told to
flavor
us.
text.
Yeah.
So
or it was like it would be common knowledge by like the Jewish scholars, and then eventually it made its way to Tiny S.
Right. Sure. So the insinuation is like by following the letter of the law, he doesn't help this person, skirts around him, and then like just leaves him.
Yeah.
A little while later, a Levite.
Yes. Wow.
Well, I remember being confused by this because like
aren't Levites priests?
That was my thought.
I'm confused as well.
So maybe I'm thinking it's all priests are Levites, but obviously not all Levites are priests.
See, I kind of thought all Levites were priests, but
that'd be a lot of priests.
Anyway,
so this another like these two people are Jewish. That is the key thing here.
Okay.
And he goes by basically does the exact same thing. Sees a like bloody pulpy guy.
Sure.
Like and I believe in the animated things, he was like, oh no, the bandits have got you. They might still be around. I better get out of here.
And then does the like Scooby-Doo.
Exactly.
Which actually is a pretty common conception.
Oh,
like
really?
It could be like a trap.
Oh, I mean, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But both of them cross to the other side of the road.
Right. They cross the other side of the road. So literally like going as out of their way as they can without really inconveniencing themselves.
Yeah.
Little while later, a Samaritan. And so a little bit of historical context is needed here. Samaria? Mm-hmm. Samaria is a nation kind of in the middle of the Israelites at this time, where they're not Jewish, but they're kind of like in the middle. I got the impression that's similar to like Israel and Palestine right now, where they're like kind of interwebbed into each other's society, but they're not a part of each other.
Okay.
And Jewish people look down on them as second-class citizens.
Okay.
Is that inaccurate?
I do not know about the geography, but other than that, I believe him to be correct.
And I may not be.
This did not come with a map, unfortunately.
No, and I may be totally wrong about the geography.
What kind of fantasy book is that?
It does seem pretty
They're
close.
in. Yeah, they have to because they interact a lot. And so.
Like Jesus goes to Samaria and doesn't have a good time, except for the woman at the well.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's
Yes.
Samaria.
The Samaritan woman is a thing, too.
Right before the story, weirdly, he tells... it's
on his mind.
He tells his disciples like not to heal people in Samaria or something.
Oh, wasn't it? Then
Anyway,
he's feeling guilty for that.
I think so. I misspoke.
Yeah. But yeah, so the entire point is that like there's animosity between these two groups of people. And, you know, you would like...
a Jew wouldn't touch a Samaritan and likewise.
And vice versa. Sure. So what ends up happening is this Samaritan is coming along, sees this man and goes, oh my God. And like jumps off his donkey, cleans his wounds, gets him as stable as possible, gives him like puts clothes on him that he's carrying with him, puts him on his donkey, walks him to the nearest village or all the way to Jericho.
It just says inn.
To an inn. Like gets him to an inn, goes to the owners of the inn, like pays them a certain amount of money. I don't remember how much.
2 denarii.
2 denarii, which I don't know how much that is, but pays him and basically says like, I will come back through here on my way back and like use this as a down payment. Anything else is on me. I will pay for it as soon as I'm back.
Yeah.
But like he's here until he heals. And then that's the end of the parable.
Correct.
And then Jesus looks at the guy and goes like, so which one of the 3 was his neighbor?
Ah.
And then like animated version kicks in at this point, and the guy's like stubbornly going like, the one who is kind to him.
So that actually kind of an interpretation of the story is he had to admit the one who showed mercy on him, which is what he said.
Yeah.
At least in this version of the Bible. But he still didn't want to like name him as a Samaritan.
Oh, really? That's in the text?
That's not in the text, but
he doesn't
like
says like the Samaritan.
Correct.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
And then Jesus says, go and do likewise.
Yeah. I mean, that's the parable.
Oh,
And the parable is
okay.
I do have actually, this is a question for you guys. Like, does this insinuate to you guys that the term neighbor has actually changed in context? Because like when I think of neighbor, it's geographically people who live near me.
Right.
Not people that I'm kind to and people who are like, this is seeming like neighbor means friend.
I mean, I think that's kind of the point of the parable is the guy's like, well, who is my neighbor? And Jesus is like,
not just the people geographically around you.
Not just people even of your race or
mankind
religion.
is your friend.
People who are kind to like be kind to.
Yeah.
It's the State Farm definition.
Yes.
So after reading this, it brought me back to our Saul Paul episode because I feel like this is just another huge example of Jesus being pro works. He's like, you have to be kind to your neighbor, not just believe in me. Like, because the guy's asking, how do I get to heaven?
Right.
And Jesus says, do good things for people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love God and love me or love people.
Yeah, of course, love God, love everyone, but like also be kind. And I think part of kindness implicitly means not just apathy. Kindness has a bit of action.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And so again, fuck Paul. Like super fuck Paul, taking this away from Jesus because Jesus was totally about doing things and making the world a better place. And Paul was like, well, as long as you believe, you're fine. Which I think just encouraged the current state of Christianity with this, like, they just stay among themselves. And it's this like apathetic towards climate change and homelessness. And
yeah,
sure.
Anyway, so fuck Paul.
And then later, yeah. Never mind. I just totally spaced on the guy's name. The French guy who's this, Jesus fucking Christ. He's the father of all of the Reformed people.
Martin Luther?
And then
Luther Vandross.
Yeah. No. Oh, shit. He's the predestination guy.
Calvin.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
No,
Whoa.
then also like fuck Calvin because it's same idea.
How do you feel about Hobbes?
Love Hobbes.
I'm more of
shit.
Team Calvin.
Oh,
Wait, did you just put that together?
I think I actually knew that, but once I re-put that together.
Yeah, that's intentional, right? Yeah.
I don't think they necessarily like a representative of the two philosophers. Could you call Calvin a philosopher?
Oh boy.
Doesn't fucking matter.
From my head.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't like this bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the story. That's the parable. I agree with Alan. I think I'm more Team Jesus after this story.
Yeah, Jesus is a pretty good guy. I mean, besides the spitting in people's facial orifices.
But that was
Do
all
not kink shame.
Yeah.
Well, fair. I mean, it did good for them.
Yeah.
It made his world a better place. They were into it.
Maybe he's just like, he got tired of like, he just like, you got to mix it up. He's like, I'm sick of just doing miracles.
But definitely Team Jesus over Team Paul.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus was a pretty good guy, I think.
It's so annoying.
As far as we know.
I liked Paul as a person. Well, not as a person. I like as a kid, I loved the moments when Paul would like spring on the local constabulary that he was a Roman, and they'd suddenly like freak the fuck out.
Doesn't that make you like him less as an adult though? He'll like get into mischief and be all like, I'm a rebel. He's like, I'm a Roman.
Yeah,
but he wouldn't get in trouble. He was like, he'd be doing things like that weren't wrong. And just like the local synagogue would be pissed at him. It wasn't even like the Romans were just like, fine, we'll just take him off the street. And then he would go, guys, I'm a Roman.
And
whatever.
And are we done with Paul stories?
No.
Okay. That's what I thought.
No. I mean,
there's not a lot of stories.
Right. But like half of the New Testament is Paul.
Okay.
Yeah. But mostly just writing letters telling people to
well, I mean, plus
not have sex and to like worship and to only preach the gospel. But if you have to get married, then
and to not let women be in charge of things.
Yeah. And also like stop taking money from like forcing people to pay you money to bless you. Like there's a lot.
I will hold my judgment for Team Paul or Jesus until I have the full story. But
fair enough.
It does sound like, I mean, you're not painting a great picture.
Paul does get Paul. Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Fuck that guy. But yeah, I mean, good story. Bad story?
It's fine.
Okay.
No surprises.
Yeah. Was that what you were expecting it to be?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very similar to the prodigal son, parable where it's like, yeah, this short, nicely encapsulated thing. And I think I probably said this in the original parable one, like this is actually what I presumed most of the Bible to be.
Right.
These more like allegorical everyman stories.
I should say there's an allegorical interpretation of this story where the man set out from Jerusalem is Adam, and the robbers are the devil and the fall of man. And I can't remember who the Levite was, but the Good Samaritan is Jesus. And when he entrusts Adam to the care of the church, he says, I will be back to pay this man's debts. Anyway, yeah, you may not like it, but it is an allegorical reading of this parable.
Not a great one because, like,
I didn't say it was good.
Yeah, I mean, biblically,
it's fine.
The priest and the Levite don't really have a purpose in that.
I kind of like it just as a story. It doesn't really need.
Yeah, sure. No, it'd be a good story where you're like, hey, good for race relations. That's awesome.
Well, thanks for the parable. We'll be right back here on the King James Virgin. And we're back here on the King James Virgin.
Yeah, we are.
And it is time for the Aesop Abstinent.
Don't do it, Adam.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you so much, Alan.
You guys are just like killing my vibe.
So do we recall what has been happening in the life of Aesop up till this point?
Nothing good.
He's short and crooked and ugly.
Yeah.
And
none of his friends like him or something?
Well,
he has no friends?
That's true. But he was like sold into servanthood and on his...
Why are we listening to this guy?
Do you remember the travels that he went on? That was very much like an Aesop story where he was basically giving out stuff from his pack to try and make friends.
Yes, and we made a joke about how he's just like making his pack lighter so he'd have to deal with it.
And that's exactly the thing. Yeah, like so that's proving his wit because he wasn't as
unencumbered as he went, oh, fuck that guy.
Did he also like have a big dong or something?
I don't think that we've covered the big dong
part of it.
This sounds familiar.
Doesn't it sound familiar?
Either this was a bit or
I don't think that's canon necessarily.
He had a huge
it is now.
Sure.
mind.
So
just like mind like a donkey.
I thought I'd catch I thought I'd catch you up on more of the life of before we do the fable.
Yeah, please.
So at this point he is a household servant. And he's not very good at it because he doesn't look very good. He's bad at communicating. There's this,
yeah, who doesn't want a tiny, ugly, sharp-tongued man in their house.
Aside from Dr. Frankenstein.
Like, this is the weirdest thing. Like, this is somebody found the diary of like a downstairs person in Downton Abbey and then published it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So he was sent into the fields to be in charge of the husbandry.
I mean, the difference
Lord.
between Aesop and Joseph is Joseph was handsome.
Yeah. So they took Paul and they took Joseph and took the worst traits and shoved them together.
No mention of Aesop's sleeves.
True.
Yet.
Okay, so he's working in the fields. At some point, the master of the house gets a delivery of figs.
Oh, hell yeah.
And like he's so into these figs. And
How into, like, wait, Aesop is or the master?
the master is
Okay.
into the figs.
That tracks.
One of the other servants, his name is Agathopus.
Okay.
And he is put in charge of the figs. The fig master.
Big master. Exactly. This is more and more some white people shit.
And he's put in charge of the figs while the master goes and takes a bath.
Hold on. It's only for the length of time
Yeah,
he's in
yeah.
the bath. Like, it's like master's like, these will normally be under my eyes
At
only.
all other times, I will be the master of the figs, but Agathopus, while I bathe, you shall be the master of the figs.
It's like picking a kid to be in charge.
Don't fuck this up.
Yeah. It's like a fake in charge.
Yeah. And so,
Or it's a very, very real in charge, and that's terrifying.
as you alluded to earlier, the Aesop's fellow servants have no regard for him. They don't like him.
Yeah.
But they also want these figs. So they catch a plan to basically eat the figs while the master's in the bath and then blame Aesop.
Oh, shit.
Because Aesop won't be able to defend himself because have I mentioned that Aesop is mute?
Wait.
Mute?
No.
No. I thought you said he had like a stutter.
Well, so I think that the way that these writings have presented themselves was something like foul of brain mouth or whatever, like mute is what it is.
He can't talk.
So Agathopus hatches this plan and says like, look,
Wait, so this is Agathopus did this? The master of figs?
the temporary master of
Temporary
figs.
master of figs abandoned his duties to eat the figs?
Yeah. And they're going to blame it on Aesop because Aesop's not going to be able to defend himself because he's mute. And I like this, so I'm going to read it. This is Agathopus telling his fellow servants, "What have we more to do than to stuff our guts with these figs ourselves and then lay the roguery upon Aesop, who is at this instant in the house where they are? And then, when our master comes to examine the matter, we are 2 witnesses to 1 against him, which will make it so clear a case that the silly cur will not have the face to deny the fact."
That is fantastic.
I love it.
What was that word? Roguery?
They're
Roguery?
gonna lay the roguery upon Aesop.
The silly cur.
Hold on. Roguery, as in that's the adjective form of rogue?
I guess.
I love it.
Yeah.
Adjective?
They eat the figs, and the master comes out of the bath.
All or some.
Oh, they eat all the figs.
Then all the master has to do is wait about 6 hours and he'll be
Yeah,
very clear who ate all the figs.
We're getting to it. So master gets out of the bath. They're like, "Hey, dude, Aesop just ate all your figs, man."
all of them.
And they're like, "You got to find him and bring this traitor to justice." So he calls Aesop in and it's like, I hear you've been eating all my figs. How do you defend yourself? And he's mute, so he can't defend himself. So what he does is he goes and drinks a shit ton of water and then pukes his guts out, displaying that he has no figs in his person.
Jesus.
And then the master is like, "Oh, I see what we're doing here. Great. Other fellow servants, please puke." And so he makes all of the other servants puke. And there's a woodcut of the servants being forced to gag themselves and puke up the figs, which I think we
they're
will
still
post around.
whole.
Definitely post that to Instagram.
It's wonderful.
Why
and
are
so-
some of the figs whole?
Yeah. Well, he was only in the bath for a minute. If you want to
just
pound all the
hoovering.
figs.
Oh, it's like a hot dog contest.
Yes.
They dip them in water and then just down the gullet. Got it.
And so the true villains are found, and
I think waiting 6 hours for like a poop off would have been better.
Right?
and it also says at the end of this, it says it basically says like, this is where we get the old saying, Harm watch, harm catch.
Oh, that old chestnut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
Anyway, that's what's going on in the life of Asa. But now we'll do the fable.
I mean, I did.
Oh wait,
have,
that was just the precursor.
all of his life is a fable.
Yeah, don't you get it?
I did have some figs on my grape nuts this morning because I'm in my 30s.
Is it just me or like do you guys want to see like a modern remake with Fig Newtons? Like where the master has
I also ate fig Newtons today.
Wow.
fuck, I love Fig Newmans.
Fig Newmans.
Oh my god, I love Fig Newtons and Newmans, but like
Yeah,
You're all
it
freaks.
it actually gets.
you
more,
don't like Fig Newtons?
No.
It gets more old man. It was because I hurt my back this morning. So I was like, fuck it, I'm having a Newman.
Wow. Really living it up, dude.
Yeah, isn't it great to be in your not 20s anymore?
Oh yeah, it's great.
So fable time. What do you know about the fable An Axe and a Forest?
I mean, I can assume it's about cutting down trees.
Yes.
You damn right.
Is this the fable about George Washington?
Nope.
Not telling a lie?
Paul,
Not alive
Paul
yet.
Bunyan.
Not
Oh.
yet. Okay, so here's the fable. A carpenter that had got the ironwork of an axe already went to the next forest, with 2 R's, to beg only so much wood as would make a handle to it. The matter seemed so small that the request was easily granted. But when the timber trees came to find that the whole wood was to be cut down by the help of this handle, there's no remedy, they'd cried, but patience when people are undone by their own folly. What's the moral? Lots of blinking happening.
Wait, that was a fucking dense fable.
Don't help people?
Don't help people hurt you. Like the forest was like when they realized that the whole reason that he was cutting down them was to make an axe that would make it faster for him to cut them down. They turned on him, right?
Did
I track that right?
On him?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the trees are kind of animate here.
But did they actually turn on him, or were they just like, oh crap?
They cry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I was gonna say it's a shitty fable in that you can't do anything about it.
Well, yeah.
But don't help people hurt you.
Anything to add?
Sure,
Because you know that the moral is going to be
Like 3 times as long as the fable.
no. I mean, just like our previous fable, the moral of the fable is in the fable, which is basically people are undone by their own bullshit. But
Hoisted by your own petard.
yeah, the way that it's written, of course, fantastic. Nothing goes nearer a man in his misfortunes than to find himself in any way accessory to his own ruin.
okay.
Now, remind me, the interpretations of the fables are also from Aesop, right?
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
So
Yeah.
he's like, it's not only here's a thing, and then I'm also going to tell you what the thing meant.
Yep.
So this guy who couldn't speak and was a slave was up in his room just like furiously writing, like writing these things down where he'd basically like, this is a thing that I'm pissed about, and here's a thing and why you can't do it.
See, I like this one less than the other ones because the trees are creatures as well.
Oh, I think it's the first one that we've done where it's not 2 animals, right?
Well, yeah, but like if like say he had
You can't suspend your disbelief for trees talking.
well, no, because it's like the moral of the story is like your actions will be your undoing. I feel like it's not very good situational irony because they're outside factors. Whereas like if he needed a house and so he chopped down wood and the tree fell on his house and actually destroyed his house, like where his actions were directly responsible.
Yeah.
The fact that like they gave a branch and that was their undoing.
Well, you'll have to remember
fine.
in my mind, he wrote this right after puking up a bunch of water that he just drank. So he's not feeling great. It's a very short fable
true.
and just like, whatever.
Just like shitting one out. Oh, is this just like a write a day project for Aesop?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, it's Inktober.
God damn it.
It's like, I'll shit this one out because I can't.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's not a great fable, but
a
well
fable.
written, and there's nothing wrong with spelling forest with 2 R's.
But the problem is the puking story was better.
Of course, the stories about his life are easily better than the fables.
so good.
I love figs.
How can you not like
Delightful.
What kind of mischief
hold
is
on.
Aesop
So you
going
like-
to get into next?
You like figs, but not Newtons?
No, I don't like either of those things.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you were.
Have you had any other kind of Newton filling?
Are there other things?
I recently had like a dried cherry one.
Is it the
How'd you feel
crunchy
about
bits
it?
that
Fine.
you don't like?
Do you like dried
Like the
fruit?
seeds?
I'm okay with dried fruit. Yeah, figs just don't do much for me.
It's a texture.
Seeds are weird. and the taste is not great.
Welcome to our podcast where we grill Nick about his food preferences.
It's the worst. I hate this entire episode.
Oh, shit. All right.
That does it for the ASAP Abstinent and our podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us at KJVPod on both Twitter and Instagram to keep up with what we're doing. We commissioned an illustration from artist Nate Marcel of the Spitting Jesus Dinosaur Hybrid from the Jesus Spits on People episode. And by the way, you can find Nate Marcel at Great Sea Monster on both Twitter and Instagram. And we turned that illustration into this really high quality sticker. And if you guys want one, you can buy it off of our website, kingjamesvirgin.com. So buy one and piss off a Christian. We did. On accident. Thanks to Mascaras and Resurrection Records for the use of our theme song, Kixari, off the album Amoran. This week's Resurrection Record artist is Obsolete Resurgence. So you can hear that song and every other song that we feature on our website, kingjamesvirgin.com.
Thanks for listening. Until next week, eat all the master's figs. Fuck the 1%.
But these memories
by Sonic Bazaar.